Alright, you guys, we're back. Time Wizard Refurbished, round 2 of. If you guys don't know, we're at Domino City Gaming. To the right, we got Vince. He's playing his Quick Draw Dragon, or Quick Draw Machina, should I say. And then to the left, you got myself. I ended up playing Frogs, just because it was, or Forks, because it was what I had in my backpack. But we do see Vince start off with Double Lone Fire, Tribute, Specialman Titanium, and that's it. He passed his turn. So this Forks deck, honestly, it's pretty nutty. Go 1-for-1, ditching Dandy, special summon Fish Fork. What I mean, I do recall some of the Substitute, and I remember just going off, right? And if you guys aren't familiar with what this deck is trying to do, is basically Armory Arm equipped to an opponent's monster, and then go into Colossal Fighter to OTK your opponent. But considering that Titanium can balance that out and negate it, because it itself can't be targeted. Well, it can be targeted, but it can tribute itself to negate the target and destroy the card. Then you have to play a little more different. And my variant is, it is one of the few decks that I do love this build of myself. It's just because I do play Upstart, and the goal of my deck is to try to get to a Substitute or Swap Frog turn 1. I do think this is me personally, from playing Edison to where we're at now. I think this is the best deck, right? Best deck in the format. It's either this or Value Turbo, but for myself speaking, but as you guys see, I keep making other plays 1-for-1, Dandy, Tribute, special, return everything, and I managed to make a Colossal, return 2, go Murray, shuffle the swap, and the Uni Frog. At this point, I'm just trying to dig into another Pot of Avarice, or so that I can return the Death Frogs and Synchro for anything bigger. So Fishborg, discard Special Summon, use the Substitute effect to tribute the Fishborg, especially with the swap, dump. And at this time, I'm just deck shrinking, trying to get to, once again, my power cards, which is Pot of Avarice mainly. At this time, I already have 2,800 on board, so I discard Phoenix Wing Blast, Specialman Fishborg. Once again, use the Substitute, Tribute, and this is where I just decide I'm going to dump everything so I can have a higher possibility to draw into the Pot of Avarice.
He's just there watching me play with myself.
And yeah, keep in mind, this is still turn 1. It's pretty nutty. Once again, another Murray agreed. Shuffling the 2 Swap Frogs. Utilizing this combo.
I didn't put my deck out so I can go into Pot of Avarice. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for. It's 1, 2. Oh my goodness, I'm unlucky, Rob. I swear.
And this is where I'm just like, what do I do? Because if you don't see Pot of Avarice, then keep in mind, I believe that I ended up just drawing double Death Frog, which is kind of funny. And yeah, there you go. I discarded Death Frog, Special Summon, Tribute itself, Special Summon the last Death Frog in the deck.
Oh my god, it was next, dude.
Or first Tribute, swap.
I just need 1 pot, dude. 1 pot.
I do play the Upstart, so. And then sure enough, I did draw into the pot with the Upstart. So this is where I think, I'm not saying it's mandatory, but I do love the pot in the deck, just because it does help you get to Substitute. It's playing 37 cards, right? Substitute or Swap Frog, that's what you're trying to get to. If you guys want this deck profile down the line, I will be doing it. So I discard Special Summon, once again, Synchro for 6. I have Goyo, so on board I have 28. And if I'm able to discard the other 2 cards, it's 19, 19, 19. Assuming I don't draw any more Death Frogs. So that would be OTK, considering that the Colossal is going to crash with the Titanium. So that's 28, 28, 56. And then 19, 19, 19, that's, you can say 2,000 plus minus 3 from the 56. So 53 plus 6,000. So one, yeah, as I mentioned to him, I was just gonna discard special summon, tribute, special summon.
Let me do the math, right? 28, 28.
I told him, give me a sec. I'm gonna do a quick little math as I'm trying to figure it out. So
I discarded the second one.
just because of the upstart,
I discarded the second. Oh, no, you're right. There's two of them in there. You are right.
this is where we're just like, did I play 2 upstarts or was it just one? But I do recall that it was just one and I discarded one. So yeah, I discarded the second upstart so that I could special into the fishboard tribute. So yeah, the whole point of this deck is deck shrink and get into your pot, set up a big board, and obviously kill your opponent, right? Or OTK them. So on board, effect, colossal special into itself, and then attack 19, 19, 28, and 28. That's over 9,000 considering that he had gained 1,000 from upstart. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If you guys play Edison and are trying to have fun, I'm not saying this deck isn't fun. Definitely it is. It is a fun deck, but it's very more. The way I like to say it is, it's one of those that if you go to a tournament, you're more likely gonna do very well. If I show up with this deck, it's because I want to win, and my results have shown, right? Every time I do play this deck, for the most part, I do fairly well. I can top eight any event. I can, you know, should I say, there's no deck that this deck cannot counter. Just because if you're a pretty decent player all around, like you'd be able to, maneuver whatever your opponent's doing. Just because it has the Unifrog to get rid of the back row, it has the flip flop to bounce back synchros, it has a dupe block to stop the interaction from your opponent getting through, and it has recursion with the substitute or slash salvage and pot, right? Then if you needed to get over things, you do have the opportunity to go into fishboard slash synchro plays. So the variety is there, right? But like anything else, any other deck, it can brick. I've had weird hands where I draw triple fishboard blaster and like salvage pot of avarice, right? So because this deck does play 3-3-3, and it's one of those things you got to take the good with the bad in Yu-Gi-Oh. Just like playing Blackwings, right? Or playing, should I say, Value Turbo. Sometimes you can just draw all 3 values and then have no follow-up, or you can draw all 3 Sirokus and have no follow-up. I mean, I'm not saying it's bound to happen, but it's unfortunate because it can happen, right? The odds are a lot, I'm not saying higher, but the odds are higher for you to open up very well than not. So I wouldn't consider just playing whatever makes you happy. So as we side in for game 2 and 2, I recall just siding into Torrential Tribute mainly, just because if he overextends, I want to punish him, and I do recall siding into Offerings to the Doom. It's one of my favorite cards to side into, just because it balances well with Reckless Greed, meaning that if you activate Reckless Greed and you activate Offering to the Doom, destroy a face-up monster, it doesn't skip your draw phase. Well, yes, it does skip your draw phase, but it's like you don't skip anything, considering that Reckless Greed, you are already gonna miss a draw phase. So something to keep in mind. If you guys are playing Reckless Greeds or any type of decks that allow you to keep drawing or just maintain card advantage, I do encourage playing the Offering of Doom because of Trap Stun being popular in the format and GBs taking advantage of that. So something to consider. But game 2 is started and we see Vince debating on what to do turn 1. He's like, last turn he did one play and it cost him the game. Reading some cards, trying to see what play works or what doesn't. So he ends up with Machina Fortress and Summon to Dyna. So that's a pretty well play, right? If I didn't, I think that I have very few outs when it comes to just a standard Dyna. If I didn't draw like into a Rekeki break, the Dyna itself can just slowly beat me down. But once again, like I did mention, a flip flop would be a quick out because then I can just normal summon swap frog, return flip flop, or you can even add, or should I say dump, the dupe frog and then sit on a wall. So Dyna is good if you have real back row, so I do set and set to the flip flop. So in my eyes, the flip flop can already answer the Machina Fortress because it doesn't target, and he'll have it back in his hand. Then he's only got an 1800 monster or a 1200 monster with the Dyna. So yeah, I do return the Machina Fortress just because, I mean, once again, Dyna is not really much of a problem. If I have a swap frog, I can keep loading up the graveyard, shrinking my deck, and if I draw into Regeki Break, he basically doomed if I'm able to just combo off. I set another one, summon swap, dump, and all I'm doing right here is just shrinking my deck down. I dump Dupe Frog just in case I do manage to draw a salvage. I have that for follow-up and then activate Trap Dust Shoe, and I do notice his hand, it's all monsters, right? So it's Double Debris, Trooper, and Plasma. I get rid of the Trooper because aside from that, he doesn't have a normal summon monster that he can just summon and attack or apply any pressure. Plus, it would also diminish the fact that if I do get rid of the Dyna, he would need another machine other than Trooper to special summon the Fortress. I don't know how people, I mean, Trap Dust Shoe is too good not to play, I think, personally. So, but Vince does attack for 12, pass his turn. Even in the fish deck, just because you are, or should I say this frog deck, because you are deck thinning so much that chances of seeing you turn 1 are just as high as, you know, I'm not saying as high as Substitute, but your one-ups that you do want to see, Brain Control, Heavy, and stuff like that, why wouldn't you play it? Obviously, game 2 and 3, you want to side it, but he is playing a more monster-heavy deck, so I decided to keep it in. Vince gets in there for another 12, puts me down to 56. And you guys will see, I did have an answer for the Dyna early on. I just didn't have a follow-up for myself, should I say. So I decided to wait. I summoned Swap Frog, used the effect. Once again, just loading up the graveyard. This time I do dub the Substitute. Just I have so many outs now. It's just a matter of whether or not I can get to them. 3 salvage, 3 pot, 3 Maria of Greed. That's 9 cards that I can potentially just draw and allow my play to keep going. So he sets a back row, passes turn, I keep taking the damage just because at this time I noticed he doesn't have, I'm not saying I knew everything in his hand, so he didn't have much to apply a lot of pressure. He asked for my graveyard, just checking it out. He attacks my face down, and it is another Dupe Frog, so he takes 800 from there. And honestly, right here, I'm just like, I could just assume it's a Dandelion just from what he had revealed earlier with the Trap Dust Shoe. So I can just go in, shrink my deck, and continue to wait to see more of the power cards. So there it is. One of the power cards is Maria Grey, shuffling 2 waters. I mean, this card is insane. It lets you fix your hand, right? It's just like GB Respite. It gets rid of the clunky cards in your hand and allows you to, you know, keep playing and fix. Especially if you're playing the Death Frog, you can get rid of the 1900 and, you know, hope to draw into a Substitute or a Dupe. main thing you really want to draw is a salvage, and sure enough, there's a salvage. Yeah, I do decide to bring out back the Uni and Substitute just because in my head I'm like, yo, he can't beat this dupe, the dupe frog. So my best bet is just get in there with little 1-for-1 attacks until I start clearing all his back row and even his face down. I attack directly and then I get rid of it. It is a solemn. I set another one past turn. My biggest worry right now is if Vince does draw a Kai's, he's able to tribute the face down. Yeah. And get rid of the Dupe Frog. But I tell him, yeah, he tries to attack the Dupe Frog. And I told him that unfortunately he can't. He tries to attack the Winnie Frog, but I tell him he can't. He has to attack the Dupe Frog. It's mandatory by Dupe's effect. And at this time, I'm just like, yo, I know he has 2 face downs. And so I since turn 1 I've had the Fossadina, or I had the Wing Blast for the Fossadina. I go ahead and summon the Substitute, tribute off the Uni Frog, special summon tribute, and this is where I'm just gonna end up going into Brionic, or if he's got DD Crow or not, because I did manage to draw into another Fishborg, and he's just like, well, I guess I'll DD Crow 1 just to, in my head I thought he had another DD Crow, but I do discard it, special summon the second one. It was just unfortunate for him that I did manage to draw the second Fishborg, so I was able to, regardless, special summon a Fishborg, or should I say a tuner, to keep going off. At this time, yeah, I'm going again, doing what the deck does, which is using both to synchro. And this is down the line. I do tell him he probably should have waited on the pot, considering that I discarded another Fishborg. So I go Reckless, Activate, Resolve, and then I have Foolish to dump the Dandy, 2 tokens, and then Substitute Effect, Tribute. This is where I'm just going to special summon the swap, return to the hand after. And then this is where, yeah, if you guys saw, I did have the pot. And another Reckless. So from that, I'm able to just pot, return everything, all the Death Frogs again. And it is over. As I shuffle all this back, I'm going to go Brio, return both his face downs, and attack. So, tribute the last token, special from the swap, dump the sub, and use the effect to return it with the hand. Discard the upstart to special summon the Fishborg once again, synchro for a Piercer just because, or Gaia in this case. And then just a salvage for the, let's say flex, but for just to keep the cards in my hand that I did want in case he did manage to have anything. So effect, discard the 2 cards I added from salvage. And in worst case, if he did have the Gores, I was gonna end up doing Brio and then Dupe Block with all these cards, and yeah, Vince scoops it up. Yeah, this is one of those, I would say it's an unfair deck, but it's fair because it can draw crappy, like I mentioned earlier, with the like 3 salvage, 3 pot, 3 Death Frog. You're not always gonna draw insane, but I mean, I'm gonna tell you, this deck, the win rate from my end has just been so consistent. So if there's ever big tournaments, this is one of the decks that I would personally continue to play, just because I'm very comfortable with it as of where I stand right now, and I do like the way that I maneuvered, or should I say I tailored the deck to my playstyle. So I'm not saying it's always gonna work out, but from my end, I will continuously play this deck for Edison Format if there's a few events. Other than that, GG's, and see you on the next one. Peace out, Benz.